Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing dumper thoughts, guilt or relief. I provide audio coaching to help people try and get their ex back or get a new girlfriend or boyfriend. Check out my website for more details. www.dateme.tips. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing dumper thoughts, guilt or relief. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will likely be wondering what your ex is thinking. Are they feeling relief after the relationship ended? Or are they now regretting their decision? In today's podcast, I'll be discussing 3 points to consider regarding dumper thoughts, whether this is dumper guilt or dumper relief. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is before, during and after. And when I speak of this, I'm talking about the breakup, because when we consider the dumper thoughts, this isn't a single issue entity. This isn't just about how your relationship was. This isn't just about what happened during the breakup itself. And this isn't just about the aftermath and what happened since the breakup took place. This is a culmination of all of those elements. What was your relationship like? How long did it last? What was your breakup like? And how did it happen? Did your ex dumper tell you by phone? Did they text you? Did they call you? Was this face-to-face? Was this emotional? Was there anger? What actually happened? Did your ex dumper just ghost you? Okay, all of these things combined create the dumper thoughts. And then we consider the aftermath of what took place. How did you behave as a dumpee? And what did your ex do from this moment? Everything is combined. Please type into the YouTube comments, if you are a dumpee, how long ago your breakup was. Tell me how you were feeling and what your experience was during the time of your breakup. This will combine into the dumper mindset, into the dumper's thoughts about whether they are likely to feel relief or grief, regret or happiness about their decision. Now, of course, nothing can be guaranteed. There is no way of knowing for certain what anybody is thinking other than the person themselves. Like, nobody can actually get into somebody's mind. So this has to be somewhat generalized and somewhat based on the research that I have done, so we can try and understand what type of situation you and your ex were in and what this might mean regarding their thoughts. So, when we move forward into points number 2 and 3, we'll be speaking about the dumper relief and the dumper guilt. But please, right now, just realise, as I've said, before, during and after is what this is based upon. It is not based on one single situation. It's the whole of everything that you were involved in with your now ex. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast about dumper thoughts, guilt or relief. And point number 2 is dumper relief. So right now we're going to be speaking about the likely situation of when an ex, your dumper, will feel relief that the relationship has ended, will feel relief that the breakup took place and they are happier now than when they was with you. Now this is something hard to swallow, you don't want to hear it, but we have to be real here. We have to explain what the likely situation is where somebody will feel relief that this relationship ended. And the main reason that somebody would feel relief during this time is if there was abuse within the relationship. If you treated your ex in an abusive manner, if this was aggression, if this was mentally, whatever way this may have been, this could be a reason why your ex dumper now feels relief that the relationship is over. So for instance, if you now look back and think, yes, I treated my dumper terribly. I was physically abusive. I was mentally abusive. All of these possibilities could be why your ex dumper is now feeling relief. There are other reasons as well, though, when we consider the aftermath after the breakup took place. And as I said, we have to combine everything together when we consider what somebody is feeling. So if during the aftermath you behaved in an incredibly needy way, this is when your ex dumper may be feeling relief. So when the breakup was finalised, you might say, when the breakup took place as and when you saw that there was no coming back from this at that time, you need to behave in a way where you respect your ex's decision. Okay, of course, during the breakup itself, you're going to be saying your piece. Things are probably going to be getting emotional. It's very understandable, but you're going to be saying, I don't want this to end. But when it has ended, when the dust has settled, when there is nothing else to say at that time, you must accept your ex's decision. You must accept the breakup. And if you don't, if you keep hassling your ex, chasing your ex, texting your ex, calling your ex, knocking on your ex's door, these are the type of things which will mean that your ex-dumper is relieved this relationship is now over. Now, they won't be relieved during what you are doing right now. This is going to be frustrating them further. But they will be thinking, I'm glad I ended that relationship. Because if I didn't, this is something which might have shown itself in kind of similar ways further down the line. Maybe this is why you were dumped. Maybe you were dumped because you were overly needy. But even if you wasn't, if you behave in this way, your ex-dumper will come to the stage where they think, okay, they had this in them. My ex had this in them, even if they weren't showing this. This is clearly a side of them, and I'm glad the relationship is now over. I always say to people when they have been dumped, you need to make sure you don't make things even worse. Okay, draw a line in the sand. This is how things are. We're going to be positive from here. Because if you make things worse, your life could feel like it's tumbling down. If you behave in a way where you're chasing your ex excessively, they will likely block you. If you try to cheat the blocking and find a way through this, they may even get a restraining order on you and contact the authorities. This is where your life would feel like it's tumbling down. Because not only were you dumped, then you're blocked, then there's a restraining order. As you can see, things are getting worse. We have to draw a line in the sand, and we have to make sure we stop the rot. We stop making things worse. Now, if you're somebody who really struggles with this, you may want to consider my audio coaching service. I help people in a whole manner of ways by speaking with them one-on-one about their unique situation. This isn't just about trying to get your ex back, but more broadly about breakup recovery and also attraction advice if you want to try and attract somebody new. But specifically for today's podcast, if you're really struggling with not being able to chase your ex, you may want to consider my audio coaching service where I can provide you with hints, tips, advice and strategy about how to increase the chance of getting your ex back and not pushing them further away. Breakup recovery is crucial whether you want to get your ex back or if you want to attract somebody new, so you need to go through it. It is a form of grief and it's not necessarily easy for everyone. Some people might say, oh, well, I got over my ex, why can't you? Well, look, every situation is different. Don't listen to friends and family who say you should be over this because this is grief. The 5 stages of grief, they come, they go. This is not a race, this is your own journey, and if you're struggling, you may want to consider going to my website, www.dateme.tips, and find more details on my audio coaching service. So when we consider dumper relief, mainly it is about if you were abusive and that is why they ended up dumping you, but also if you chased your ex excessively, if you push them to the point where they block you or even worse, this is when your ex-dumper will likely feel dumper relief. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about dumper thoughts, guilt or relief. And point number 3 is dumper guilt. Now, if you're a dumpee and you want to try to get your ex back, the ideal position you want to be in is to find out that your ex-dumper is feeling dumper guilt. Okay, because if your ex is feeling guilt, this is when you stand an excellent chance of one day reconnecting. However, not always. It's important to say that sometimes a dumper will feel guilt because they've hurt you. They don't want to hurt you. Most dumpers do not want to hurt their dumpees. Most dumpers do not want to break somebody's heart. But if they feel that they had to, for whatever reason, maybe they felt you'd grown in different directions, maybe they felt that there was no way this could work for them long term, then unfortunately, they've ended the relationship and they might not actually regret the decision, but they might feel guilty for hurting you. Okay, so that is a possibility we have to consider. But generally speaking, if somebody feels guilt about ending the relationship, this means there is a strong possibility that they will reach out to their ex-dumpee, and at this moment, you can go through the communication stage and improve your chance of reconnecting. So why would a dumper potentially feel dumper guilt if they've ended a relationship? Okay, they've ended the relationship, they made their decision, So why would they now feel guilty? Why do you make a decision and then feel guilt? Well, it is through reflection. Whatever you do in life, you will likely reflect on it. And this is no different for dumpers. Somebody ends a relationship because in that moment they're feeling a very low level of romantic emotional attraction for their now former partner. This means that they don't see a future with both of you moving in the same direction. They feel that life would be more fulfilled on a different path. But what if that changes in their mind? Well, this will happen if and when they will reflect. And I always say, in my belief, that dumpers reflect on the past after they have gone through the single honeymoon period. So when somebody ends a relationship, they believe it is because they're not feeling fulfilled in this relationship and they want to do their own thing. So when a relationship ends, they enter what I like to call the single honeymoon period. This is a period of time where the ex, the dumper, lives the life that they couldn't do within the relationship. Sometimes this is as obvious as being able to date other people, because if you're in a relationship, it's very unlikely that the rules within that relationship are going to allow them to date other people. Okay, so that is probably the most broadest example of what somebody could do outside of a relationship in compared to if they was in the relationship. They can date other people. Now that might scare you as a dumpee, but it is a reality we have to consider. So one of the things that they might be doing is going out into the world and meeting and dating new people. But don't be fearful, dumpees, if you hear this, because if the dumper does meet new people, if they do go on dates, the likelihood is this would be a rebound relationship. Rebound relationships are characterized by many red flags, but mainly the important one to look for is when somebody dates somebody new soon after a previous relationship ended. It is very difficult to find a long-term compatible partner, and the likelihood of finding a new long-term compatible partner soon after a previous long-term compatible partner, well, the odds are astronomically low. Okay, it's not likely that you're going to go from one long-term to another long-term. So if you and your ex were long-term, and then you find out after your breakup they're dating somebody new, the chances of this new person being compatible is very, very low. The likelihood is this will be a short-term relationship which will likely end within a matter of months, if not weeks. Of course, nothing can be guaranteed, but this is the likely scenario. Other things that dumpers do during the single honeymoon period is spend more time with their friends, spend more time doing hobbies that maybe they couldn't do within the relationship, maybe you as the dumpee didn't like them doing. Perhaps they're going to try new things, maybe they're going to travel, maybe they're going to do things that just didn't work within the relationship. But eventually, everything which is new starts to feel old. The shine starts to come off and things become mundane. For instance, your ex-dumper might start go to nightclubs, or might start going clubbing once a week, and then you find out after a few months that they're no longer doing this because it's no longer exciting, it's no longer new, it's no longer fresh. This is the time when the dumper is likely to self-reflect, look in the mirror, metaphorically, if not physically as well, and consider their life. Because if all of this new is now old, if all of these new dates have now petered out and ended, this is when somebody who is a dumper might start to feel a little lonely. Have I made the right decision? I was in a relationship with somebody who loved me. Now I'm single. I'm not doing anything that I really enjoy anymore. All of those things now seem boring. The dates I went on have ended. What does this mean? This is the self-reflection. Now, if as a dumpee you have done everything right at this time, this is when your ex-dumper may be feeling dumper guilt. So what do I mean by you doing everything right? Well, I suggest you implement my version of the no contact rule. If you don't know what that is, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and check out the playlist entitled the no contact rule. This will allow yourself to listen all the way through the playlist and immerse yourself in my version of the rule. I believe this gives you the best chance of success because it puts you in a position where you not only recover from a breakup, but you also go through self-improvement. And additionally, you are giving your ex-dumper space and the opportunity to miss you. Somebody can't miss you if you're always in their life. Your ex needs to miss you. They can't miss you if you're texting them every week. They can't miss you if you're calling them every week. You need to use my version of a no contact rule to give you the best possible chance of success. Look, nothing can be guaranteed. There is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back, but if you do everything right, go through the self-improvement, learn to experience and expand your horizons so you become a version 2.0. Make sure you use the hints, tips and advice that I speak about in other podcasts and through my audio coaching service. You will put yourself in a position that when your expert dumper self-reflects, they will likely feel guilty because they miss you. Okay, your expert dumper will almost certainly get to that moment where they look metaphorically in the mirror. You need to give them a reason to be thinking of you in a positive way. Something referred to as the fading effect bias will also help your cause. If you want to learn more about that, please search on YouTube, Fading Effect Bias, Vincent Boss, and you will see the video that I uploaded on that subject. That will also help you as time ticks by. I believe in you. You now need to believe in yourself as a dumpee. Live your life to the full and try your hardest to stay distracted from your breakup, because if and when your expert dumper does self-reflect, if you've done everything right, there's a fantastic chance that they will feel dumper guilt, they will feel dumper regret, and maybe at this moment, they will reach out to you. If they do, if you navigate the communication stage effectively, this is when you could meet and hopefully for you, reconnect, creating a relationship on stronger foundations. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.
Yeah, if you miss your ex, we can help with that. Help you get him back, or we can help find you someone else. Yeah, Vincent Bo, the relationship coach, giving you some insight, bringing you a new approach. DateMe.tips, go and check the site, giving you advice, helping with your love life. Get your ex back, or move to the next. Ain't no sweat, you know Vincent Bo got you. Finding love ain't no problem. Yeah, DateMe.tips, check it out now.